Hello and welcome back to my channel. It is that time of the month once again. We are doing my monthly wrap up as well as some TBR hopefuls. I feel like I read a good little bit this month. I had some good reads, I had some so reads, but I guess we can just get right into our stats for the month. So I read 13 books for a total of 2,923 pages. My moods this month were significantly lighthearted, funny, adventurous, emotional, and then the last two are mysterious and dark. I feel like that's pretty on par for what I normally read. I feel like I always have those handful of emotions. It just the percentages tend to differ. And then pace, 80% was fast paced, 20% was medium. Makes sense. For the page number, I read 69% less than 300, which again makes sense for what I read. 23% between 300 and 499, and 8% over 500 pages. 100% fiction once again this month. I did not read any nonfiction. I still need to try and make that a priority, but we'll see if it happens. And then the bulk of my reading this month was fantasy, with romance in second, and then LGBTQIA in third, which again, that tracks. Format 77% was digital. I did read a lot in my Kindle this month, 8% audio and then 15% print. So audio was the least amount, which I'm trying to read more audio. It's just, I don't have like a dedicated time that I listen to audio unless I'm like driving. And a lot of my driving, it's pretty short. So I don't get through a lot of audiobooks as I used to. And then my average rating this month was 3.35, which is pretty low. The majority of what I read was a 3-star, and that was basically an entire series, and we're going to talk about that first. And then let's see, I had 1 5-star, 1 4.25, 1 4, and then 1 2-star. Oh no, I had 2 4 stars. But this month was so. I wouldn't say it was a bad month. I feel like everything was just kind of like, I feel like I enjoyed everything overall. There was one thing that I really didn't like, but for the most part, I enjoyed everything, I think. All right, let's talk about the first thing I read this month. And I read the entirety of the Wolf's Mate series, which the first 5 are The Bro and the Beast, and the next 2 are The Villain and the Geek. I'm going to talk about the first 5 and the next 2 because the first 5 follow Brad, who, after reading the book, he gets into a fight with his twin brother about, like one of his favorite romance novels. And then he gets into an accident and he wakes up in this romance novel. And I thought it was really good. Brad basically like takes the place of the original woman who was supposed to be the mate of the wolf shifter in this, whose name I'm forgetting. But I thought this was fun. Like, is it the best thing I've ever read? No, I feel like the writing was like fine, but it was just really fun because it was so like meta. It was very aware of the fact that like he was in a romance novel and it was calling out like this typical romance tropes or like romance stereotypes, and I thought that was so fun. I just loved how meta it got. But other than that, I mean, like, it was, again, they were all really short reads. I don't think any of them are over like 200 pages. I think a lot of them were below 150, but for the most part they're all pretty short. They're all like novella length, but it was so much fun in this. And Brad, he was hilarious. His mate, whose name I don't remember, hold on, Raul. Brad and Raul, they were fun together, and I thought this was really fun. And like, if you're interested in reading a like super meta paranormal romance, paranormal romance, this could work for you. And then the continuation on from this, book 6 and 7, which are book The Villain and the Geek 1 and 2, are the first 2 books with Brad's brother, whose name is Devin and Constantine. And Constantine was technically the villain from the first 5 books, and now it's kind of their romance together. I did enjoy this. I didn't enjoy it as much as Bro and the Beast because it's not like as meta. Because right now, like, he's just it just reads as like a regular paranormal romance, whereas when we were following Brad, he was very much calling out the stereotypical tropes. Even though he didn't know what the tropes were, he was calling them out like, that doesn't make any sense, why would we do that? And I thought that was fun, and that added a fun element to me. This one is just your kind of run-of-the-mill typical paranormal romance. It does at times call out the fact that he knows he's in a romance novel, but other than that, it's pretty straightforward. I am enjoying it. We end on a cliffhanger in book 2, so, and I don't know when the next book's coming out because I think this was published back in 2020, so I'm sorry, 2024, and there's been no updates since then because the other ones, they all came out, I think, like either multiple in one year or like at least every year. And it's been well over a year since the last one. So I don't know what's going on with that. I probably need to do some research, see if we're going to get a continuation. But overall, I thought the series was fun. I did give all of the books 3 stars because, like I said, they weren't like the most amazing thing I've ever read, but I did have fun with them. And I did double check. They're all less than 150 pages. So I was even being generous with the 200. They're all less than 150 pages. So I think I read all 7 of them across like 2 days. So they're definitely binge worthy. I then read The Warlord's Wildflower, which is book 2 in the Monstrous Mates series. I read the first one, I think back in September, I want to say. This is another one that's very short, 93 pages. This follows, they're like minotaurs, and they're, I don't know, I think they're not like Vikings, but they're like warriors. Yeah, because they like battle each other. And there's, in this one, they have like, what is it, like a tournament? How like they all battle each other, and then like one comes out to win, and like he wants our heroine's favor, and she's like super shy. He's like the fun loving kind of himbo, and that's pretty much all of this is, because like this is 93 pages, like obviously not much was happening, but it was fun, it was cute. Gave it 4 stars. I had a good time with it. I then read a graphic novel called Witchcraft by Soledad Terra. I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4.25 stars. It basically follows a group of sisters who are witches throughout like multiple points in their life, but it's not following them specifically. It's kind of following other people and how they interact with these witches, and like the consequences and like the fallout of things that happened with their interactions with these witches. And I thought it was so interesting because you kind of just jump through different people. Sometimes you're following people that are like closer to them, and then you're following people who like have no idea who they are, and they're just like seeing all these weird things. It was very, very good. I thought it was very entertaining. And this is definitely an adult graphic novel, so know that going in. There is nudity, cursing, all of that, which I really enjoyed. And I thought it was, I don't know, this is just so good. This is probably one of the graphic novels I've enjoyed more than I thought I would, because mostly I feel like with graphic novels I'm very like so on them. I feel like I definitely have more emotion and I'm more connected with like a standard novel. With graphic novels, I feel like it's just harder for me to get like really suck in and like really want to give it a 5. And even this didn't get a 5, but I had such a good time with it. I thought it was amazing. So I definitely recommend this. If you can find I would recommend getting this through your library. Not that I don't like it, but I was trying to find it because originally I got this as an ARC on NetGalley, and my ARC pass would archive. So I was like, oh, I'm going to have to buy the ebook. The ebook was $25 and the physical book was like $35. I thought I was going to have to take the L and not be able to read this so I could get wouldn't be able to give feedback. Oh, but luckily my library on Hoopla had it. Thank God. They had it like the day after it released. Thank God, because like I really was going to take that out because I was not paying $25 for a goddamn ebook. I'm sorry it wasn't happening. I'm sure I mean, I know because I read the ebook through Libby or through Hoopla. So it was stunning. Still wasn't paying $25. So if you have the funds and you're, balling like that, feel free to go get the ebook or the physical book. They're expensive. But if you can find it through your library or you can get it for free somehow, I definitely recommend it. I then read Mate by Ali Hazelwood. Hands down, my favorite book of the month. Mate is the Bride is the sequel to Bride, which came out a couple years ago. We follow Serena. Actually, I have the book, so I'll hold it up. We follow, Serena and Alpha Cohen Alexander, and they are mates, and he tells her that, but he's basically kind of like, but that doesn't mean anything, like we're not going to be together, like I'm not into you. Obviously he's lying, but I thought this was so fun. I loved this. I loved Serena and Cohen. I loved their banter. I loved the storyline with this, and surprisingly, I can't tell you like the thing that I didn't like about it, because it's kind of a trope that I'm not a big fan of, but I know a lot of people are. And you do kind of get into this because we're trying to figure out Serena's past, because she doesn't know where she's from and she doesn't remember like any of her childhood. And they're kind of trying to figure out where she comes from, because it seems like a lot of that's coming back up, and like there's some people who may be after her. And when we find out more about that, it does have a trope that I'm not a fan of, but I still loved this in spite of that. You had probably, and it's not even a trope that I like severely dislike. It's just something that if I know it's in it, I probably wouldn't pick it up. I still would have picked this up either way because I loved Bride, and I loved this even more. Bride, I'm pretty sure Bride, did I give it 5 stars? I think I gave it 5 stars or like a 4.5, but I rated it very highly, and I loved this even more. I loved Serena. I loved Cohen. I loved them together. I thought they were so cute. And I don't know, it just was like typical Ali Hazelwood. I feel like every new book she comes out with, I love more and more, because when I first started off with her, with The Love Hypothesis, I gave that 3 stars. I wasn't like the biggest fan. And I have read most of the feminist novels except for Love Theoretically. And I think all of them sit around like a 3.5 for me. They're fine. But like Bride and Mate have been top tier for me. And then because I was in the Ali Hazelwood vampire werewolf mood, I read Hot for Slayer, which is a part of the Scared Sexy like novellas that Amazon released with a bunch of authors. I've only read this one and I did enjoy this. I gave it 4 stars. I feel like it has the like typical Ali Hazelwood formula because we have a vampire. I don't remember anyone's names. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad at remembering names. But we have a vampire and a vampire slayer, and they have pretty much been playing this like cat and mouse game for centuries. And at the beginning of this book, the vampire slayer like loses all of his memories, and then things go from there, and they start spending time together, and they start gathering feelings. And I thought it was so good. It was so cute. But again, this was really short, 94 pages, less than 100 pages. So I feel like it very much gave me like Mate Bride, just like super condensed down. And I honestly probably would have loved this if it was like a full length novel, but I did really enjoy it. I feel like if you're a fan of Ali Hazelwood and you're a fan of Mate or Bride, you will also enjoy Hot for Slayer. I then read Feeling the Heat Part 1 by Emily Antoinette. This is part of the Blossomverse Omegaverse series. I gave this 2 stars. I was feeling fine about this. We follow our heroine Camille, and she is on the night of her 40th birthday, she I guess figures out that she's an Omega, and she's been a Beta her whole life, and normally you figure out your Omega when you like go through puberty, so pretty early on in life. And she figures out on her 40th birthday that she is actually an Omega, and now she's grappling with that, and she starts getting close to a certain pack. And I don't know. I want to keep it vague because I feel like the synopsis is enough. But my main issue with this, and originally when I was reading this, it was a solid 3-star. It was fine. I was enjoying the dynamic because the way she meets each one of the pack, one, it feels very convenient in a sense, because when she goes to the like heat clinic because she's going into heat, she meets her doctor, who we figure out, I guess they're a scent match, and that they're connected that way. And then she has to like find someone to go through her heat with, and they set her up at the clinic. The person that set up with her is a part of that doctor's pack. And so they go through the heat together, and then the doctor ends up joining them for the heat. And then come to find out her boss is the 3rd member of the pack as well. And I'm like, that just feels so convenient that she happenstance meets everyone in this pack and like knows all of them. I was willing to ignore that. And this book's way too long. It's 464 pages, and it's so much didn't need to be. I feel like there was way too much inner monologue, and to the point where I started skimming because like I didn't care. I was like, get to the point. I feel like we're doing a lot of rambling and inner talk, and it was just so annoying. I was still gonna read part 2. However, the end of part 1 basically ends with miscommunication, and the worst form of miscommunication, where something happens. The FMC assumes that one of the MMCs is behind it, and instead of talking to them, open up your fucking mouth and just asking like, hey, did you do this? She just assumes they did it, and it's like, I'm not, like, never talk to me again, fuck you, leave me alone. And that's how the book ends. And then there's also like I think they're adding like a villain into the next book that's supposed to somewhat add a plot, because like this book very much didn't have a plot for 464 pages, which I don't mind. And in like a why choose situation, because like the plot kind of is the romance and you're getting to know the other people, but like it was dragging it out, and it was so boring, especially because she didn't meet the 3rd guy. Technically they knew each other because that was her boss, but they didn't actually meet and like figure out who he was and what their connection was until like 60% of the way through the book. Too long. And then like I said, they were adding like a villain in, and I didn't like where this was going because it was kind of like a incel-y, red pill, skeezy group and guy that were going to be like clearly going to be like an issue in the next book. So literally it was like the last 2.5 chapters that just really tanked the end of this book for me. It pissed me off so bad. I did not enjoy it. Might I go and read part 2? Maybe. But like she has to, and as much as I'm like, she got to grovel because like you assumed the worst. Granted, he was kind of a dick to her at the beginning of the book, but like literally the chapter before he confessed her feelings to her, and then after that she's like, no, he fucked me over. He got clear. Like, ooh, it pissed me off so bad. I'm sorry. Let's move on. The last book I read of the month was The Lost Reliquary. This is another arc that I was late on. Again, I'm still late on 2 other ones because I'm behind on one arc, and then another arc comes out in like 2 days. Haven't even started it. But I was behind on this one, so I wanted to catch up. I listened to the audio for this. This is a fantasy. It's basically, we are following Lise, who is a part of this like brotherhood, I think they call it. And all of the other gods are dead and there's one god left, and her like vessel is dying, or the vessel, someone from like a heretic group tried to kill her and got very close, and so now they're off to try and find what is the lost reliquary, because that's the only thing that has the power to kill the goddess. And Lise is very much going into it because she actually wants to kill the goddess. She's been kind of disillusioned with the Brotherhood and the goddess, and she wants to kill him, but she's been tasked to go with Nolan, who's another person in the Brotherhood, part of a different faction, and he is very much devout in his convictions to the goddess, and they're kind of going off on this quest together to find the lost reliquary. This was fun. I did enjoy this. I gave it 3 stars only because it's really solidified for me. I'm not a big quest person. I don't like quest books. I just tend to find them kind of boring. You traveling along, trying to find something, asking these people, encountering these people, and then like, the shenanigans that comes up along the way. I am not the biggest fan of that. However, with that being said, I do think this was very good. I think if you like quest books, you could really like this because there is enough, like twists and betrayals and like action, I feel like, to keep you going. And it definitely kept me interested enough to, obviously get to the end. And I would say the last like 15% of the book, I was like so locked in because the book kicks off with a bang. The first like 10% are really good. The middle part where they were questing, I did, my interests had, its peaks and troughs. And then the ending, the 50% I thought was really good. It had me back. So I did really enjoy this. I probably will pick up the sequel. I don't know. I said in my review I wasn't sure if I would continue on just because with the way it ended, it was interesting. It just like wasn't interesting enough that I want to keep going. I don't know. I probably will because I don't know. This book literally just came out and the next sequel probably won't be for like another year or two. So I'll see how I feel in a year or two and then we'll go from there, and I'll see if I want to continue on the series. But this was solid. So I think if you are a quest person, you like quest, give this one a shot. Psych, I missed a book. I also read The Kite Runner this month. I gave this 3.75 stars. I'm pretty sure all of you know what The Kite Runner is. I'm pretty sure most of you read it in high school. I did not. My high school was not that cool, I guess, because we didn't really read shit in high school. Like the only 2 books I specifically remember reading were Night by Elie Wiesel, which very good book, and then Divergent, which I know, really out of left field. But I finally read The Kite Runner. This is one book that I picked up months and months ago, and then I had to put down because if you've read The Kite Runner, you know that at the beginning there is a pretty heavy scene that really just kind of hit me. So like I needed to put it down and take some time away. But then I picked it back up again this month and I finished it out, and I enjoyed it overall. But I feel like it's still a 3.75 for me. I was very conflicted on whether or not I was between a 4 or a 3. I feel like I'm going to stick with a 3.75 for now. Who knows? Maybe in a month or 2 from now, I'll change it again. But The Kite Runner follows, we follow Amir, who's our main character. And we start off when he's in childhood and he has his best friend Hassan, who is also basically like his servant. And it's kind of just following Amir throughout his life and the really bad decisions he makes as a child, the bad decisions he kind of continues to make as he grows older. Like most people, I find Amir to be a very frustrating character. He makes very poor decisions. He makes very selfish decisions that really affect other people in his life and get other people hurt. And when you're reading the book, he is never doing it out of malice. It's never with ill intent. It's usually out of cowardice. He's just scared and he is trying to avoid any sort of responsibility or any sort of fault in himself out of pure cowardice. And it is very frustrating to read at times. And by the time we get, towards the end of the book, because we're following him pretty much into adulthood, it was at one point it was a 4-star, and then he does something again at right around the end that I'm just like, why would you do that? Like things were getting better. Like why? Oh God, he was just a very frustrating character. Overall, I did really enjoy the story. I will say I did not cry reading this, and that's one of the reasons I picked it up, because like I was just in the mood for like a good book that was gonna like break my heart and like have me sobbing. This did not do that for me. I did not cry at all. There were some times where I got a little choked up, but I really didn't cry. And I feel like it was a bit of a letdown because I really went into this expecting it to be a 5-star, especially with the way people talk about it and how much they love it. But this just was somewhat of a miss, unfortunately. I do still recommend it. I do think it's a very good read. And honestly, I feel like a lot of people should read it because, everyone has. And I feel like it's just one of those books that it's so entwined within the culture, and it's, so many people have read it that like it wouldn't hurt you to read it. It's just, I don't feel like it hit as much for other people as it could have for me, unfortunately. All right. Those were all the books I read in the month of October. Now let's get into the hopeful / TBR for the month of November. First up is a book that I am currently reading, or How many books am I currently reading? I'm currently reading 3 books. The first book is I'm listening to the audio for The Everlasting by Alexi Harrow. This is kind of the expanded version of Six Deaths of the Saint that came out a couple years ago. I'm pretty early on in this. I think I'm like 10% in. I'm really enjoying it so far. I really like the writing style. I really love how she wrote The Six Deaths of the Saint. She has the same sort of writing style in this, and I'm super enjoying this so far. This is the arc that I'm behind on because this came out like a week ago. So I'm catching up. I am behind, but I am super enjoying this right now. I am also still reading Jade War by Fonda Lee. I'm 200 pages in. I'm at the first interlude. Still really enjoying this so far. I am not super consistent in my reading of this. I'm sure, as you can tell, because I think I probably had this on my TBR for last month. So I'm making my way through. I got 200 pages in this month, but I'm going to continue on through this. I am definitely slacking, but I'm reading it slowly but surely. I will get through her. And then speaking of books I'm still reading, you're gonna be mad at me. This is embarrassing. I am, I am still reading Babel. Okay, I am 2/3 of the way through. I'd say I'm gonna finish this month, mainly because I did just get the audio for Catabasis from my library, and I'm going to immersively read this. So I already told myself if I'm gonna start this, like I need to be finished with Babel, and I thought I had a little bit more time, but clearly someone returned it early. So I'm gonna finish this out. I'm immersively reading this as well. Well, I'm kind of going back and forth, but I'm gonna finish this out this month. So we're gonna get Babel, and then I will pick up Catabasis, and I will find my way through this. And this is a 5-star. This is a potential 5-star hopeful. So fingers crossed. I love this, but I hope it's as good as I'm thinking it's gonna be. And then another book I am currently reading. I'm slowly but surely making my way through this, and this is probably one that I don't know if I've talked about it on here, but on my TikTok, I've talked about how like scared I am of reading it and how I may never read it. But A Little Life by Miss Hanya Yanagihara. I am 180 pages through this. I'm still on part 2, The Postman. I'm almost part 3. I am enjoying this so far. Obviously, nothing too sad has happened yet. I don't think the sad stuff really starts happening until like part 3 or 4. Actually, we've learned some sad things already. And I started reading this at one point before. I feel like I mentioned where this bookmark is where I got the first time, and then where my pen is where I am right now. So I'm trying to catch up to where I was, and then I will get past that. So I do vaguely remember most of what I read the first time, but it's still just as sad the second time around. I am enjoying this. I do want to get through this because I don't know. I finally feel like I'm in the headspace to read this right now. This is a very heavy book. It has a lot of trauma. So if you are someone who's interested in reading A Little Life, definitely look up trigger warnings. I am recording a vlog for this. So I'm slowly but surely making my way through this. Am I going to get through it before the end of November? I don't know. We'll see. But I'm reading, like 20, 30 pages every day here or there. And then I'll see how far I get through this. I am very much interested. Like, I feel like it reads, even though it is very character driven and there's not exactly like a plot, it's definitely keeping my interest. And I'm definitely really enjoying this. And I already am so connected to these characters. So I'm super, super loving this. Okay, that's 5 books. And honestly, I feel like that's already pretty ambitious. But I'm going to add like 3 more. The last one of ones that I'm like that I've started and have continue on is Beartown by Frederick Bachman. This is one that I started months ago, back in April, when I was on a plane flight, and I got 100-ish pages in. Yeah, 112 pages in. And funny enough, I do have a flight coming up pretty soon, so I might just pick this one up while I'm on the flight and continue reading it and see how far I can get into it. But this was on my like 10 before the end, so I would like to finish this out. And honestly, who knows, I might push it out to December because I feel like this is very much like a winter read because it follows, a hockey town called Beartown, which is I don't know where Beartown is, but it's Beartown. It's a hockey town. And I feel like that's kind of the vibes, but this may be this is like a potential. It's not super high on the list, who knows, but it's a possibility. And then for our last 2 books, I don't know if you guys remember her. I made this TBR jar months ago, and then I got immediately into a slump and I never used it. Actually, I did one book. What was it? It was You've Reached Sam, and I did that. Like, I did a video for that on my TikTok because I pulled it. I read the first chapter and I said, absolutely not. I hate it. I DNF'd that so quick. So that's the only successful thing I've pulled out of this, but I would like to pull 2 for the TBR this month, and we'll see what we've got. Maybe if I can hold it up here, you can probably hear it, the crackling. I don't know if you want to hear that. Let's see, we're gonna pull 1. Letting me look at the color, and then What do we have? We have brown and red. So red's a romance and brown is, I forgot what brown is. Give me a second. I think brown is historical fiction. Let's find out. Let's open her up. Should I show you first? It'll focus. I don't know if that's upside down or not. What do we have? The Women of Troy. Okay, so definitely historical fiction. Women of Troy. I think that is that out here? I want to say it is. It is. Look how easy that was. Boom, shakalaka. All right, we have The Women of Troy by Pat Barker. This is actually a pretty good pick. I'm a big fan of like Greek history, so I'm excited to get into this and see what we're about. I think, is this not like a retelling or retelling of, which one is it? The Odyssey? No, the Iliad, but it's from the perspective of the women, I think. That could be an incorrect myth. It's one of the myths. It's a retelling told from the women's POV. And then our last one is romance. I think that's upside the right way. We have All Roads Lead Here. That's actually a pretty good pick. That's not out here. That is by Mariana Zapata, who honestly one of my favorite romance authors. Love her. I've read 2 or 3 books. No, I've read like 4 or 5 books from her at this point. I've really enjoyed both, but those are our 2 options for the month: The Women of Troy and All Roads Lead Here. So we'll see how well I do at this. I want to make a priority to read the TBR jar picks, and then the other priority, obviously the Arc, the Everlasting, and Babel. Those are the ones that I want to for sure tell you in my wrap up next month that I read them. But we shall see. I'm not great at this. Anyways, that is everything I read this month, and then everything I hope to potentially read next month. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.